Hello and welcome to another session of Researcher in Focus by Indian Seabird Group. Today, our session is about Wings of Care, Best Practices in Seabird Stranding Response. Um, we have with us Dr. Suranjana Ganguly. I'm just waiting for her to join in. Just a second. So, till we start. Dr. Suranjana is the chief veterinarian at chief veterinarian at Reef Watch India, and today we'll be talking to her about her experience with seabird strandings and dealing with injured seabirds. So, hi Suranjana, welcome to the stage.
Hello.
Let's start with how you got into this, like what has been your journey, and since when have you been working with Reef Watch India? Where are you based?
So, how I got into so many things I got into. So, how I got
Yeah.
into Reef Watch in particular was, Shantanu, my husband,
Mm-hmm.
was one of the people who, he was the basic person behind the idea of this entire marine megafauna stranding project.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wild idea in his head back in the day, and then we kind of managed to figure things out. And Tara, who's the director of Reef Watch, he kind of took the
Mm-hmm.
project on. And
Okay.
so I've unofficially been, with Reef Watch since the beginning, but I kind
Mm-hmm.
of got on board, in a formal way as the chief veterinarian about 4 years ago, I
Okay.
think. Yeah, 4 years
Mm-hmm.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride, because
Mm-hmm.
as you know, marine megafauna, was not always even understood completely, like in terms of that it was
Yeah.
an important thing, that it was part of the forest department, that it was a resource, that it was part of our lives.
Yeah.
So it was
Very
really
true.
overlooked and something very ignored.
Yeah.
And within marine megafauna, pelagic birds have never really, they don't even technically, in the definition of marine megafauna,
Yeah.
pelagic birds show up.
Mm-hmm.
But we took that decision early on that, pelagic birds were 100% going to be a very big part of this marine megafauna project.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's basically how it happened,
Okay, great. Well,
Yeah.
4 years is a really long time. I'm sure you have a lot of
Yeah.
experiences with that. So,
Yeah.
how frequently do
Learning
you
curve.
find injured or stranded seabirds during your work?
So, it depends again on time of the year, the season,
Mm-hmm.
often. But you can never say, like, so that's the thing with with all of these things, that you can
Yeah.
see patterns. Now we've been doing this for a few years. We can
Mm-hmm.
see patterns, but very often random things will happen. Which, like
Okay.
last year,
Mm-hmm.
we don't normally see monsoon strandings and seabird stranding. I mean, when I say monsoon strandings, it's mostly turtles, right? We get a lot of
Okay.
turtles. This is the
Mm-hmm.
time that we get the turtles. We've already started. The
Okay.
importing of turtles has started in
Mm-hmm.
both Goa and Africa.
Okay.
Sorry. But basically, with birds, we don't normally see them at the same time.
Okay.
But last year was a weird year because we got a lot of birds, alongside the turtles during stranding season, which made life very difficult, poor things, especially
Yeah.
for the Goa team. It was very hard,
Mm-hmm.
because now that like with Goa, as you know, we partner with multiple different people like Terra Conscious
Mm-hmm.
and Drishti lifeguards, and so we have
Mm-hmm.
a full reporting network
Yeah.
in Goa that are, we have eyes and ears on the ground. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that pelagic birds, they have to report to us.
Okay.
Whereas in Karnataka, that's not the case, because we completely depend on citizens to go out, and during
Okay.
the monsoon people don't go out, they don't go to the beaches,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So uh, often, like, reporting birds is like their least priority, if at all. Turtles are getting reported, but
Mm-hmm.
birds, they won't really report. So that is something we have
Okay.
to really work on, like with our networks, training
Okay.
them, teaching them the importance of this stuff.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so I've got a little presentation. Should I show that to
Yeah.
you guys?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
I'll just add. Are you able to
Okay.
share your screen?
share screen, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay. Can we see anything? No.
and not yet. Oh, yeah.
Now?
Yeah, now it's there. Yeah.
Okay. And then I go to present.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a quick, overall look at this. So what
Hmm.
Reef Watch is, I'm just going to go over like what Reef Watch is and stuff. I
Yeah.
mean,
Sure.
there are any questions. It was started in 1993,
Hmm.
primarily a lot of coral restoration, and then when Shantanu came into the picture, that's when the Marine Megafauna project started it around 2020 in Karnataka.
Okay.
And these have been our general curves of the animals that we've seen. It keeps going up and down. No
Hmm.
real way to predict,
Yeah.
what we get. And yeah, so these in terms of pelagic birds, these are generally the kinds that we will encounter,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? So we get the
Okay.
gulls and we get the terns, we get the
Hmm.
squirrels, the boobies.
Okay.
And I have to say, out of all of these guys, the boobies are some of the most entertaining birds we've ever had.
Okay.
They're great
Good.
fun. They're great
Okay.
fun. They're great fun to watch getting better.
Hmm.
So yeah. So yes. Okay. Sorry. Just a sec. I've got a baby here, and he's
No worries.
so yeah. To be
Yeah.
explained. Okay,
Uh,
so yeah,
mhm.
okay, so then so that's that. These are the species, and then this is
Okay.
just going over obviously what the the fact that pelagic birds are vital indicators. So one of the reasons we decided to put them into our marine megafauna project was
Hmm.
because they are sentinels. They are big indicators of what the current scenario is out there in the oceans that we very rarely understand,
Hmm.
and obviously one of the biggest things that we see these animals dying from is parasitic infestations, which often is from raw, untreated sewage in the ocean. So, I mean, there are multiple issues, and as you know, and as we are all coming to learn as human beings, that we are all very interconnected, that our choices matter. Whether it is the way that our cities dispose of, sewage, our solid waste management, our choices in terms of plastic, our choices in terms of packaging,
Hmm.
our choices in terms of convenience, and how that affects every living thing on earth,
Yeah. Very true.
right? So yeah, so these are just some of the numbers. So as you see,
Hmm.
you can see a huge difference between Goa and Karnataka, and that's purely because of the reporting system. It
Oh,
really
okay.
think about how many birds come to Karnataka versus how many birds come to Goa. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm sure if we had a similar system in Karnataka, we would see a lot more birds, but
Okay.
this is basically the kind of animals that we see
Hmm.
in both of these places.
Right. Okay. Right.
And yeah, and then I've just done a little bit. If you have any specific questions, or I can go into like what our major factors of mortality are within seabirds.
Yeah. Yeah. Please go ahead with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the biggest reasons that we lose seabirds, and mind you, it is a very high mortality factor. We do lose quite a lot of seabirds because, number one, these are animals that aren't very much in contact with human beings most of the
Hmm.
time. And if they do come up on shore and they are able to be handled by a human being, they are very, very sick.
Hmm.
And when they are handled by human beings, that is a huge cause of stress for them. And
Yeah.
oftentimes, that is where we lose most of them. In just the basic reporting, handling, catching, transporting, that is one of the major causes of mortality with these animals,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
um, then of course that like that's stage one, and so that's why we try a lot to educate the forest department, the drishti lifeguards, the first responders about how to handle these birds if they do come
Yeah.
across these animals.
Hmm.
It's tough. It's not easy because, like, I mean, obviously trying to catch that bird, it's hopping around, it's
Yeah.
paranoid. Cortisol is keeping it alive at this point. The minute catch it, it gets really stressed, and sometimes, they just go in, their muscles just kind of give up and they go into full breakdown. And,
Hmm.
they will just in your hands, their necks will just turn over, and that's the end
Yeah.
you know
Hmm.
so handling them and managing them is very nuanced and is very difficult, and often we can't always expect that of first responders.
Hmm.
But that is a major cause of death. The second obviously cause of death is that these animals have been through trauma, whether
Okay.
that's blunt force trauma, being hit by things,
Mm-hmm.
hit by boats, hit by whatever else, that the wind, strong winds.
Mm-hmm.
These animals sometimes are very compromised with respiratory infections, bird flu. We see, like I said, parasitic infestations. We see plastic ingestion. We see all of these problems. So they
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately do pick up very quickly on the problems in that ecosystem.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's why I've just written down here like guidelines for seabirds. This was something we
Okay.
talked to the Karnataka Forest Department about,
Okay.
how to transport them.
Okay.
Um, and obviously with reef watch, one of the biggest things that we do is data collection,
Yeah.
systematic data collection, and
Mm-hmm.
protocol formation, right?
Okay.
So as our team is on the ground, we have a very standard protocol on how to collect data, and
Mm-hmm.
that data will include everything from obviously postmortems to GPS location of the animals that were found
Mm-hmm.
to morphometrics, which are their measurements, and all of those things. So for us, there is a very stringent process that we
Okay.
follow with data collection.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah.
And yeah, and then I mean, how this is obviously a total, but it's basically we use a GPS app to get
Mm-hmm.
our GPS location when the animal is found there,
Okay.
and yeah,
Wonderful.
that's
Yeah, that's a really great overview of your work.
yeah.
So starting with, so at the moment you are working only in Goa and Karnataka, among the west coast of India.
So yes, I mean we've just recently.
Sorry, she might have to join back again. Sorry, guys, some technical issue.
Can you
Just
see
trying to.
me?
Yes, we can. Sorry, some
Sorry,
technical
I
issue, I
tried to
guess.
close the presentation, the whole thing shut down.
Oh no. Anyways, happens.
but
Yeah.
yeah, no, basically, sorry, you were asking me that
Yeah, so I was asking that are you working in Goa and Karnataka at the moment? Okay.
Yes, I
And
mean
do you have like
we
a
have our bases
yeah.
in
Mm-hmm.
Karnataka and Goa, so we work with the forest. I mean, we're basically the marine wing of the forest department
Okay.
in Goa and Karnataka. But we
Okay.
also are, like when the Chennai incident happened with a
Mm-hmm.
lot of
The
Ridley
turtles.
deaths that
Yeah.
happened, we were called in there to
Okay.
train, to capacity build their vets, and also go and write a report on the deaths.
Okay.
We've been called into Orissa. We went in there. So we do a lot of outreach with Maharashtra and like different states, like different
Yeah.
coastal states. Wherever our help is required, we're always happy to lend a hand because we recognize that there is no one concentrated effort that is working on marine megafauna currently.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true. And so do you have like rescue and rehabilitation centers over there where you keep the injured birds and tend to them?
Yeah, yeah. So in Goa and Karnataka, we do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have like I said, we have a base in
Mm-hmm.
Benolim in Goa, and we have a base in Kundapur in Karnataka. And
Okay.
both of these bases basically have our team staying there, and they also have tanks for turtles, and we also have a
Oh,
setup for seabirds when they come in.
okay.
And there's a
Wonderful.
whole protocol that we have day one protocols, we have diagnostic protocols. So when these birds do come in, if they
Mm-hmm.
survive the transport and the capture,
Mm-hmm.
then they go through like treatment. They go through fluids, they go through X-rays if required, they go through antibiotics and
Mm-hmm.
cultures and fecal cultures and all kinds of things. So we try to do the best we can
Okay.
with whatever we have.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we release. So we have done quite a
Okay.
few releases as well. Yeah,
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, that's good to
yeah.
sound. Um, so we have had a lot of records about mass movies ending up like windblown during the monsoon seasons. So is it something that you have experienced as well, that there are more mass movies during the monsoon season, or all of these species that you mentioned, that
Hmm.
they are just more of them coming up due to wind? towards the land to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, generally for us, the time that we see birds,
Hmm.
seabirds, the time we see seabirds is generally around, with our, based on our data, is around like September, Jan, these
Okay.
these times. So it doesn't actually coincide completely with the monsoon.
Oh,
Like I said,
interesting.
like it's more like with the breeding season and nesting season and, those kind of things. That's when we
Okay.
generally will see more birds stranding.
Okay.
Monsoons, we don't normally see them, but last year we did. So I don't know what this year is going to bring. So far
Okay.
this year, we've not had any seabirds coming in around this time. So,
Okay.
but
Okay.
you never know. Things change day by day.
Yeah, I mean, strandings are really random, so you can never tell.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, like last year were more than usual. So
Yeah.
how big was
Mm,
that number?
I can't tell you exactly because I don't have the numbers with me now. But like I said, we've
Okay.
dealt with over 300 birds just in Goa. So
Oh,
last year
okay.
was quite a few of them.
Okay. Okay.
I'll
Wonderful.
probably have to check that out. But yeah,
Oh,
last
that's
year
fine.
was
Yeah.
quite a few.
Okay. Okay.
But like I said, I mean, there are multiple reasons for them stranding, which could range from plastics and problems. But
Yeah.
one of the biggest challenges, I think this was about 3 years back or something,
Mhm.
was a whole flock of seabirds was run over by somebody
Oh.
driving on the beach in Goa.
Oh.
And I mean, obviously that was completely unlawful, unregulated, but
Yeah.
these kind of things do happen. Like it's
Yes.
unfortunate. And in a place like
Definitely.
Goa, where people often are there to have a good time at the cost of everything. So
Yeah, that is true.
yeah.
And are do like mostly do you tend to the injured ones, or there are a lot of dead birds as well which are reported?
Yeah, I mean, we do get a lot of dead birds as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I won't be able to tell you exactly the percentage. I'll pull it up. Let me try
Yeah,
and see if I can pull up the percentage. But we do
yeah,
get a lot of dead animals as well.
yeah.
Live birds are a smaller percentage than that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, dead birds again are very important to us still, because
Mm-hmm.
dead birds
Yeah,
will give us a lot of ideas of what exactly is going on often
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I
with
was
these
thinking in the
animals.
terms
Yeah.
of diseases mostly, because avian flu and things like that are very rampant everywhere. So have you had any incidences where that was the cause of death?
Yeah, so
Um,
unfortunately, the sad part is that like I was just talking to someone from the labs here in
mhm.
Bangalore, and they were telling me that with avian flu, generally
Mhm.
you have to send them the whole bird, right, to
Oh,
test
okay.
the IHVB, and we can't do that because we have a system, or like I mean, these aren't. It's not like poultry where you have thousands of dead birds and you can send like 10 of them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, over here, it's much more of like, one bird or two birds. So what
Mhm.
tends to happen in that case is you can't really send the whole bird. So we don't often know if
Okay.
it is a diagnosed case of bird flu, but we will see signs of like lung pathology. We will see
Mhm.
signs of like, congestion and possible
Yeah.
infection or
Yeah.
diarrhea. These are things we can
Mhm.
see. So it's
Okay.
difficult to say exactly, yes, this is 100% a bird flu death, but we can kind of infer that it could be an infectious cause, and that possibly could be bird flu because it is something that is, rampant in the area or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a lot of percentage of birds which are entangled in plastics, like, or marine debris, or ingestion of marine debris that you find during postmortems or anything?
Yes, we do. Not a whole lot. Like I would say, out of the full percentage, maybe like 5-6% would be
Okay.
like that, where we actually find plastic. But see, also it's difficult to say because plastic will often, like, I mean, if a bird is dead, there might be other pathologies as well, but you will also find plastic. You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean?
That is true. So
So
you
I mean,
can't really
it's
pin
very,
down as a cause of
yeah.
mortality. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
yeah.
So it will be a finding, but it won't be a primary cause of death, or you
Okay.
cannot pin it down as a primary cause of death.
Okay. Right. Right.
Yeah,
So there's one thing I wanted to ask was so locals often come across birds. So right now you said that you're trying to work over a long stretch of time. So
yeah.
before they get in touch with you or the nearest veterinarian who are like used to handling such marine bird cases, is there
Mm.
something you would suggest as a code of conduct or protocol that they need to follow while tending to the bird if they want to?
100%. I mean, I think this goes with any bird that anyone
Mm-hmm.
comes across anywhere. is obviously keep handling to a minimum, keep
Okay.
noise to a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, if you can restrain them in, with towels,
Okay.
and make sure you hold them completely,
Okay.
their wings and everything, because they can really damage their wings trying to get away. So you kind
Mm-hmm.
of wrap them up, hold them, put them into a dark cardboard box with holes to breathe, but not enough to see what's going on. And
Okay.
that darkness and that quiet helps to calm them down. And so by before, like once you get them off, till the point you get them to help,
Mm-hmm.
it's ideal to keep them as little stimulate give them as little stimulation and stuff as possible, and stress as
Okay.
possible. Yeah.
Okay.
So that would
Wonderful.
be my advice always. And never, you go with your bare hands, or never hold them, in like with their eyes wide open looking at people, like taking them around. It really
Mm-hmm.
stresses them out, and it's something that
Yeah.
really happens very often, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And what in terms of feeding? So usually people tend to feed birds, like even like normally birds, or even injured birds, like things like our human food, like gatia chips and like all sorts of snacks actually. So there is a
Yeah.
tendency to do that. So have you seen any adverse physical
Yeah.
abnormalities in birds because of
You
that?
can drown a bird. So a lot of the times people will be like, I just want to give them some water. I gave them some
Mm-hmm.
water and food. And that
Yeah.
water and food will be the reason they unfortunately will die. And I know the
Oh.
intentions are right. But
Yeah.
when you give them water and they're trying to get away and stuff, sometimes like if you're trying to drop it in there, it'll go into
Mm-hmm.
their lungs instead. They choke
Yeah.
on that water. Trying
Oh.
to open their beaks and stuff food in, you'll end up choking them or breaking their beaks
Oh. Okay.
unknowingly. So nothing, do nothing. Like there's no
Okay. So you
need for
just leave
them
them
to
alone.
eat in
Okay.
that moment. Just leave them in that box.
Okay.
Keep the noise to a minimum, keep the light to a minimum, and just wait for help.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
helpful. So we are trying to build a sort of a network of seabird enthusiasts and people who are willing to help out throughout the country. So
Hmm.
if ever there were some cases where people need to seek help, so if you're willing for it, we can set up you as a contact person for that. Um, in case you
Yeah,
want
sure.
to.
I'm happy to help. I mean,
Yeah.
like what I'll do is, if you can just put Reef Watch's contact up there,
Yeah. Okay.
you're most welcome to call in to either our
Mhm.
Karnataka or Goa base, and
Yeah.
they will help you through whatever is required. And
Yeah,
if I
just
need to
because
be
sometimes
personally
you need
involved,
somebody to talk through the
yes,
process until they are
yeah,
attended to properly. Yeah, so we are just trying to build like
100%.
a point of
I
contact.
mean,
And
we would love for that to happen. Like in Goa and Karnataka, obviously we have bases. In
yeah.
other cities, I mean other coastal states, if these
Mhm.
animals are being come across, I'm happy to guide another doctor through it,
Yeah,
through what needs to be done. So yeah, definitely, definitely.
definitely. Oh, that is wonderful to know. Um, anything else? So, you mentioned that masked boobies are entertaining to be around. So, could you tell me more about that, just as a fun fact for
Gosh,
us?
they've got a lot of personality, and they can be
Oh,
very silly also. They can do really silly things.
okay.
Like they're very loud birds, right? And they
Hmm.
are very comical looking as well, because they've got their two eyes like really close
Yeah.
by, and and they do like really funny stuff. And when they
Mhm.
walk around, they just are. They look like a comic, just in
Okay.
general.
Yeah.
And if they are healthy, happy birds, they have a lot to say about a lot of things. Like they
Oh.
don't like their food stale, they like their food given to them a particular way, and every animal has their own preference. Like some of them prefer
Mhm.
it if you put it down, some of them prefer you throwing it at them, and
Oh
then they
my
catch it, like, and
Okay.
they yell at you if they don't like what you're doing. I mean, you
Oh,
should speak to like the people at our base about some of these hilarious things these birds do, like
oh my
flapping at
God.
them, screaming at them. Like, I mean, it's like they're difficult to please customers in a hotel,
Oh
that's
my
what they
God.
like.
Yeah, like kids, like I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's
So,
like, I
yeah,
don't like this.
wonderful.
The quality is kind of bad. This smells bad. You're too slow. You're too fast. I don't like you. It's like,
Oh my God, that must be something.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. And
Hmm.
so, what do you generally feed them, like at your rehabilitation?
Lots of different kinds of things. I mean, like I said, all of these animals, sea turtles, seabirds, they're all unique individuals. They have
Mm-hmm.
individual preferences. They like things a certain way. So it goes from silverfish to mackerel to different kinds of fish to squid to
Okay.
prawn. Whatever we can kind of get our hands on. Sometimes you just have to try multiple different things until something works with them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. Probably. So I'm just going to check if we have any questions from the audience. I don't see anything much, but we will be happy to share your contact even on our website so that people have a point of contact whenever they have questions or they want to get in
Sure.
touch with some bird problem they have.
Hmm.
So, well, that's it for today. And it
Okay.
was lovely having you here and hearing all about your experiences, and it was great. Okay.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for joining.
Okay.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.